Hey guys, Short Midget here. I'm going to actually be doing a review on an A&K PTW. So I got this functioning. This is not how it's going to stay. I'm going to be doing things to this. I've given up on my ICS DSG, and I'm actually going to DSG this. I feel like it's going to be easier to DSG this because it's already got an ECU and MOSFET system, whereas with my ICS, I cannot find a BTC to buy, and they are very expensive. So that's that. I can't afford to have this gun built and that gun built. So I'm selling that to get this thing fully built. Things that I need for this is an M140 spring, a dual sector gear, PTW dual sector gear, and then a new pinion gear for the motor. So three things, main things, and then I need some money left over to buy electronics once these A&K ones break. I have a functioning G&D ECU, so potentially I could buy some sort of MOSFET because the A&K MOSFET will not function with the G&D ECU, and my selector board is also, I don't think it's compatible with the G&D, so I'll need to find, and I have two other selector boards that are like, I have a G&D selector board that's broken and a Etny trigger or selector board that's broken, so I need to get a selector board and a MOSFET to work with this once this current A&K stuff breaks. I got the A&K electronics for $25 shipped, and I also got the G&D functioning ECU with that. So he said it's functioning. I can't really confirm if it is or isn't, so I'm kind of just trusting him that it is. It doesn't look like it's broken, so. But anyways, let's just continue with this build. So I'm just going to go over the externals pretty briefly, because like I said, things are going to change on the inside. Things are going to stay the same on the outside for the most part. Magpul Battle Comp flash hider. Was nice armament key mod. I think it's just like the URX 4, but I think it's just a Mad Bull. I think these retail for about $80. I have a real RVG on there with one rail mount. I plan on getting a second rail mount and putting my flashlight up here and buying a pressure pad to put on another, rail mount, but I'm going to zip tie it like at an angle, like right up here, so I can push it in. It's going to be at an angle. So yeah, I have a flashlight. I just need to get a rail mount and then a pressure pad. And then a zip tie, because I'm actually out of zip ties. I have a T1 Opticon here. It's a pretty nice red dot, red and green. I think it's GMP, but it may be, it's not Element, I don't think. It's GMP, I think. The person that I bought it from didn't even know, but he thought it was GMP, so I think it's GMP. I'm not totally sure. Doesn't really matter. I got it for, I think it was 30 shipped with the T1 and then the riser. I have Troy Battle Sight replica flip-up sights. The A&K body, the A&K pistol grip, which I took off the stub there, A&K PTW stock. I have two 11-1 lipos that I run. They're both these. So it's a 1200 milliamp 15 to 25 C 11-1. I can only fit one in at a time because there's too much wires, too many wires, and the length I have my stock, it's just not good. So I could probably squeeze them in here. No, I could squeeze them both in here. Let's try it. I could totally squeeze both of them in here because actually how the plate goes on, there's room back here for everything to kind of seat. So I have two of those lipos. They're both the same lipos, Dean's. That'll last me all day. I'll have to swap though. One of those will not last me all day. So it seems like it goes together fine. That's it for the externals. I have two A&K mid-caps, and I tried both of them, and they feed flawless. And I have 5 brand new CTW magazines. I have not actually tested those to see if they work, but the CTW mags feed. I filled them all the way up. Or the A&K mags feed. Totally fine. These are like 15 bucks too, so these are really, really good for the price. But CTW magazines, I've heard from everybody that they're better. So I don't know. We'll see if they feed my gun. But I did notice I had to put heat shrink on my bolt lock for the CTW magazines to sense that it's out of ammo. But I haven't actually put ammo through those mags. But I did try both the A&K mags. They both worked and locked back. I think when I go to insert the mag, the bolt lock goes forward automatically. I don't think I have to hit it. I can't remember. I've only put a few mags through this, though. So let's just go ahead and fire it real quick. A few times. Like I said, I need to get a new pinion gear. This one's loose. Full auto. That's maybe 10 rounds a second, maybe a little more. Not very fast, but I don't care. DSG, I want to DSG this solely for the trigger response, because the trigger response on these PTWs are already really good. But when you put a DSG in here and it's got the ECU MOSFET, you cannot use this gun without those, because that's how it's designed. So I just feel like it's an awesome system to do a DSG, and it's a 9-tooth too. So an M140 should land me about where the FPS that I want, where this is when on full stroke. So should be about 300 with 2.5s. That's what this was chronoing at, between 290 and 300. Okay, so I have shimmed the cylinder, so it's very tight. I have an A&K cylinder, but I cut the spring. I think this was an M130 or something. It may have been an M110. I think these A&K cylinders are M110, the gold ones, but I think the person I got this from put a different spring in here. So it's... I cut it. I cut a good bit of coils off of it, so it's getting about 300 with 2.5s, 290, 300, with the hop-up adjusted, sighted in for about 150 feet with 2.5s. So the DSG, I'll be using 2.5s too, but I'm hoping I get about 310 with 2.5s. And that's what I'm hoping for. An M140 9-tooth, I'll have to research and ask around if I should use an M130, M140, or M150. A&K charging handle. I think this is the A&K hop-up. The previous owner told me that when I got this from him, it had FCC electronics and hop-up unit, but it was all A&K, so I don't know if this hop-up unit is A&K or not. If you know, go ahead and let me know. I'll pull it out so you can see it. It actually is very effective, though, so I think it's A&K. It indicates on the bottom here which way is up and which way is down, but it does not have a wheel. So I'm not sure. I've seen some FCC ones with wheels, so I'm not sure if this is one of those that doesn't have a wheel or if it is a stock A&K. I have taken the hop-up apart, and it seems pretty good. Like, it's in good shape. It was windy out today, but I sighted it in. It was going a little bit off to the right, so I had to change my dot off to the right, but it wasn't, like, curving a whole lot. But it was very windy, like I said. So that's the upper. The lower, complete A&K. I'm not sure which generation MOSFET it is. Because I have the original one in here, which actually functions. This original ECU is version 1, and this is a 2-year-old ECU, and it functions, but the bolt lock portion snapped off, and that was my fault. I broke that off when I was installing it the first time. But this actually functions, so potentially if my ECU burns out this one, I can swap it, but normally the MOSFETs are what burns out. The A&K ECUs aren't all that bad. The A&K MOSFETs are bad, because that's taking the burn of the power. I have a broken A&K MOSFET here. That's trash. Yeah, I don't know how old that was. I'm thinking it's as old as this was, so 2 years old, but it blew. The MOSFET did. But there's a G&D, like I said. Now, let's go ahead and fire this with the upper off. So trigger response, it's pretty instant. It doesn't cycle instantly, but with my spring, I mean, you heard it. It's a weak spring, and it's still not cycling super, super fast. So with the DSG, I hope it cycles. I mean, I've seen videos on them. If I get 30 rounds a second, I'll be happy. If I get 30, I'll be happy. Or 35, sorry. If I get 40, I'll be happy. I've seen some people, I've heard that some people have gotten PTWs, DSGs up to 60. I don't want 60. I want 40. Even at 40, I don't know if it's going to feed properly with my mags, because it's just a different system. Now with my DSG, with my flash mag, feeds at 40 and 45, depending on what motor and battery I've used, but I've used different stuff with that. It shot both rate of fires, and it's fed fine with this. And even my mid-caps, G&P mid-caps fed fine. So if my A&K mags and CTW mags can feed at 40 or 35, by all means, shoot that fast, but eventually my A&K piston or cylinder setup is probably going to explode. That's kind of why I want to run a weaker spring, like maybe an M140, not an M150, maybe even an M130. We'll see. But as far as A&K parts, the A&K motor's not very good. I have one here. Some people are like, oh, if you rewind it, rewind it, sorry. That just didn't sound right when I said it at first. When you rewind it, you can get a lot of power out of it. Personally, I've never rewound a motor, so I'm sure that's probably true, but I don't know how to rewind motors, so for me, I would have to pay somebody to do that. And I have a CTW motor in here that Zach gave me. Thanks a lot for that, Zach. He didn't charge me anything for it, but I ended up sending him some money through PayPal. So I kind of paid for it, but I got a really good deal on it. The pinion was trash, so I had to Dremel that off and then Dremel the one off of this because the lighter would not loosen this up. So I kind of ruined the pinion, so it's kind of glued on there right now. So that's why I need new pinion, new spring, DSG, and money to buy electronics once these fry. Potentially, I may, instead of just getting like an Etny kit or whatever, I'll probably just get a cheaper MOSFET and a selector board and use this G&D ECU once this breaks. And then the G&D will probably burn out eventually too. And then by then, I'll probably just be like, I'm just going to get Systema. But performance, the gears are fine. A&K gears are pretty strong. I don't know how they compare to like Systema and stuff, but Systema gears are really expensive. And the A&K will pretty much do the same thing. It just may not last 10 years like Systema gears. You know, if you get a 07, like 07 gears, I think my brother has 07 gears in his gun, and it's still chugging along. I don't think they've been ever been replaced, but I don't think this will last for 10 years. So you get what you pay for, but only over time, really. So that's that. Everything in this lower stock. Again, I'm not sure what MOSFET generation it is. I think it's the second or third. It's not the first, because the first one is a little bit lighter blue, and it also says on the front V1, and the new one that I got didn't say anything, I don't think. So it's kind of a mystery on what system it is, or what generation. So I'm going to go ahead and put it back together. Now, when you put the magazine in, the magazine's empty. It's going to stop shooting. When I push the bolt lock in and hold it, it'll fire. When I let it go, it stops firing. Sometimes it'll fire one round. Let go. Okay, it didn't fire. It's actually working as it should. Now, when I go to load a loaded magazine into it, find some BBs. Got 3 BBs. Although I don't have a, dang it, I don't have like a non-loaded mag to drop, because I'm not sure if when you're out of ammo, you drop the mag and you go to put a new one in, if you actually have to hit the bolt lock, or if it actually releases on its own. Okay, so it stopped working, and it's empty. So, there we go. Thank you guys for watching. I do recommend A&K PTWs. They're awesome systems. I love the planetary gearbox. But keep in mind, the motors aren't very good. The electronics are subpar. The cylinder setup, in my opinion, is pretty good, and the hop-up's pretty good. And the externals are alright. You just got to be careful. You can't flip this receiver open, because you can chance breaking it. So just be very careful with your upper and lower receiver. Don't, you know, throw it around. But that's the thing I dread, is my receiver cracking. Like, that's the worst thing. If my upper receiver cracks, like, that's the part to crack the uppers. Man, I'm going to have to get this rail off, and yeah, so that's going to suck. But if you have any questions,